I'm trying to record this all in one take cause I need to go take a shit, so forgive me if I end up stumbling in some areas. In no way am I a master in the art of storytelling, and I struggle with recalling any event that happened longer than 2 days ago, but I wanted to share this experience I had last year just because of how bizarre it was to me. After consistently having no luck with women on Tinder, I decided to change the settings and have the app show me both women and men. I thought if I can't find love with a woman, I might as well try to find friendship with a man. In hindsight, coming to Tinder to look for friends might not have been the wisest decision. I'm pretty sure I set my profile to specifically say I was only looking for new friends, because I didn't want to attract any weirdos thinking I'm a homosexual femboy looking for dick. But let's be honest, no one ever bothers taking the time to read profiles on Tinder. They just look at your face for 3 seconds, then swipe right if you're not completely hideous to look at. So I still ended up attracting way too many gay weirdos for my liking, until I eventually gave up and set it back to just women. And let me clear this up before any keyboard warrior out there tries to call me homophobic. I'm not saying they're weirdos for the fact that they're gay. I actually have no problem with that part. I'm saying they're weirdos because the sexually explicit selfies and bios they were using made them look exactly like the kind of perverts that would end up being the subject of a true crime podcast. Like that one uncle that can't keep his hands to himself when you go for a sleepover at your cousin's place. Before I set it back to showing only women, I had already matched with and messaged a few dudes, and out of all of them, the only one that seemed normal was a guy that I'll call Jack. I emphasize the word seemed because we clearly haven't reached the end of the video yet. Jack and I exchanged numbers and moved the conversation off Tinder, and to make sure I was being as transparent as possible, I reiterated that I'm not gay and just wanted to chat platonically. He accepted this answer at first and we started getting to know each other better. He told me he was done with university and was in the middle of some kind of tech-related certificate, while I told him I wasn't really doing much because I had dropped out and had 0 friends to hang out with. After hearing that, he started acting sympathetic and dialed the niceness up to 11. And eventually he asked if I wanted to hang out because he said I deserved to have fun and be happy. At the time I was thinking, wow, someone actually wants to be friends with me in real life. Because I clarified that's strictly what we were meeting as, friends. He knew this and assured me it was fine by him. Remember that. I don't drive, so he offered to come pick me up, and from there we went to a park to chill and talk about random shit like movies and music. But that point is where I started getting a bit uncomfortable, because every once in a while he'd eye me up and down with this hungry look on his face. He even tried touching my leg once or twice and genuinely looked so pissed every time someone walked by. Almost as if he wanted there to be no witnesses. Was I just being paranoid because I rarely go out, or was this guy trying to get me to do it with him in a park? My problem is that sometimes I'm too nice at the wrong moments and don't know when to put on my abrasive side. This was one of those wrong moments, cause I kept giving this dude chances to be normal and I was hoping he'd get the hint that I'm not fucking interested. I was really hoping he'd get the hint because it had literally been months since I interacted with anyone my age, and I was too desperate to have another human being to talk to, someone to trust, hang out with, and do normal friend stuff with together. Pretty quickly, the park became boring, so we drove to a fast food place to grab something to eat. He offered to pay for both our meals, which I was really grateful for, but still felt guilty about because I hate when people spend money on me. It makes me feel like I'm being a freeloader because I'm usually too broke to pay them back. He insisted it was fine though, so we ate, and when we were finished, he said he'd drive me back home because I didn't come up with any cash to take a taxi back. Now I was almost about to forgive him for what happened at the park and consider that day not completely terrible, But as we were getting close to my house, we reached a junction where I told him to go left, but he blatantly ignored me and turned right onto a slightly deserted street. I began panicking and thought to myself, what the fuck? Am I actually getting kidnapped right now? Is he planning to rape me? Would I go to prison if I killed him in self-defense? He suddenly stopped the car and I wanted to jump out, but there wasn't really anywhere nearby that I could run to, and there was no one around, so I asked him as calmly as I could, what's going on here? And he replied, do you want to go to the back seat and make out? No, I don't want to fucking make out with you, Diddy Jr. Especially when I emphasized several times that I'm not into men, and you said you were cool with that. Was he high on something, or did he legitimately believe that buying fast food for me was going to change my sexuality? Like how MGK changed from rap to pop after being humbled by Eminem? Like, dude, I don't know whether to feel insulted that you assumed I could be brainwashed so easily, or to feel pity for you and your apparent lack of cognitive functions. That was when I realized too late that he was pretending to be content with a platonic friendship because he was hoping he'd be able to take advantage of my loneliness down the line and manipulate me into being his fuck buddy. Is it that expensive to just buy a sex doll instead, you depraved lunatic? I told him, don't touch me and take me back to my house or I'll slice off your testicles with your own car keys. Well, I didn't say that last part out loud, but I was still prepared to do it if need be. Luckily, I didn't have to repeat myself twice. With a disappointed look on his face, he turned the car around and continued on the route back to my house. I'm glad I remembered to not let him drive all the way down to my front gate so he wouldn't know exactly what building I lived in. I just let him reach up to the point where I was comfortable enough to start trekking from, and I asked him to stop. I found it so disgusting that as I left the car he said something along the lines of, it's not fair that I wasted my fuel and money to show you a nice time today and you're not even going to kiss me. Well, it's not fair that out of the millions of sperm cells that got blasted into your mom's vagina, it was a degenerate bastard like you that made it to her egg first. Moral of the story, when you're going to meet someone for the first time, never go without your own cash. So you won't need to rely on them and you'll be able to pay for a taxi in case you need an emergency getaway. Also, I'm glad to have been born as a straight man, cause if these are the kind of creepy scenarios women have to go through on a regular basis, then you ladies are a lot braver than society gives you credit for. No wonder some of you have a deep distrust for men in general. Heck, I'm a man, and that experience almost made me want to start hating men as much as Rachel Zegler does. Thank the stars I came out of that in one piece.